Welcome to another edition of the Smart Driving Cars podcast. Thank you for being with us. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Hey, good afternoon, Fred.
Good afternoon. We are in the midst of summer. Boy, it sure feels like it. And, and you're heading out of town soon. There's a conference coming up next week in San Francisco, the TRB Automated Road Transportation Symposium. It should be another good gathering.
Yes, it's annually the good gathering, the summer gathering. I think it's TRB's most popular summer conference, or at least it was at one point. I don't know if we've gone up and now we're back down or something like that. There should be some activity. It's in San Francisco, which is a good place to do it because at least that's where some of this is being attempted, and we'll see what the conference brings. Hope to be able to meet and see a lot of people out there, and say hello. I'm involved again with the Shark Tank, which is on Wednesday afternoon. Hope everybody shows up for the Shark Tank, and we'll try to get them discuss, which is what we do there. Is especially in that session, we try to discuss what is going on, because most of us are trying to make this happen. And as we can see right now, at one point we thought it was going to be pretty darn easy. I hope Steve Schladover isn't correct here that this is never going to happen. I guess he used to say that. I agree with him with so-called level 5, but let's hope some of this can happen. And we're struggling right now a little bit. We've had some success, but we're struggling. And then on Tuesday evening, we're going to have for the Transportation Research Board annual meeting in Washington on Tuesday evening. So that meeting in January, I guess for more than 50 years now, I've been throwing a Princeton alumni and friends banquet. And we're gonna. I'm just so surprised. I guess I woke up a couple of days ago and I said, I haven't done one of these alumni and friends banquets at the summer TRB AV meeting, or automated transportation meeting. And I said, how could I not do that? So on Tuesday evening at 7:00, we're going to have a friends and an alumni of Princeton Transportation Program, PAVE, Princeton Autonomous Vehicle Engineering group dinner, and information is on the e-letter. Everyone's invited, as long as you RSVP and you tell me you're coming, so that we know how many we need to reserve for. But as long as you do that, then please join with us. Again, we just get around and try to have a very informal setting and meet to discuss over dinner and a few beers and a little bit of wine what's going on in this smart driving car world. I'll be bringing 3 of my summer interns with me this summer and give them a peek at a technical conference, and maybe they'll make some contributions. Jerry Hub will be there too, at least from Princeton, and a few others from Princeton will be there, and hope to see everybody. So please, if you're in town for the conference, you don't need to be registered for the conference to come to the dinner. But you do need, or I would appreciate if you could RSVP. Just click, it'll create an email to me and just say you're coming, so that we can anticipate you. I think the university actually wants me to make sure. There's still these COVID things. Never mind, we don't even want to go there, whatever. But please do that, just as a favor to me. And otherwise, my interns and I will be flying out there on Monday morning and get there by noon and be there at least through Wednesday. So Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock, refreshments and dinner and discussion. And then at 1:30 on Wednesday for the Shark Tank. Please come to that. We always have fun. Brad will be there, and Richard, Dick Mudge will be there, and a bunch of others.
All-star cast.
All-star cast, yes. So come and this isn't turning out to be easy. Unfortunately, Mike Senna's not going to be there. I don't think he's coming from Sweden. I guess a little plug for our book. We now have at least our final draft to the publisher. The publisher has to do some things to it, but sometime this fall, I guess maybe it'll come out. The real case for driverless mobility. Anyway,
a lot to look forward to.
A lot to look forward to.
Well, Alan, this symposium is certainly going to be in the right place. In the latest newsletter, you have a lot to say about a story from TechCrunch headlined, "Robotaxi haters in San Francisco are disabling the AVs with traffic cones." There's a group called Safe Street Rebels. They've created a week of cone, and they've been posting on social media in advance of the California Public Utilities Commission meeting July 13th next week. They're expected to approve the expansion of AV deployments by Cruise and Waymo. And wow, as you said in response to an email I sent you.
Yeah, I mean, it's how did we get to this point? I mean, it's somewhat unbelievable that that's where we sit today. Here, this technology is supposed to be providing so much good to at least a large segment of the population, and could provide enormous equity and mobility and quality of life improvements especially to people who need a ride. And guess what? At any point in time, at least 50% of the trips are taken by people who need a ride. In other words, they don't have for whatever reason, the opportunity to drive themselves. So they need a ride. Some of them have a stretch limo. Ooh, great. Some of them end up not being able to go because they can't find a ride. And this has an opportunity to do that because of the affordability aspect of it. And where does the affordability come from? The affordability comes from very close optimized utilization of vehicles and making sure that they really do it and deliver the ride efficiently and high quality, which probably involves, when you can, sharing rides. Lyft, last week said we're not going to share rides anymore. Okay. What the heck does that then do to your affordability opportunity? If you could offer ride to 2 people as opposed to 1 person, now if you're down to 1 person, you've doubled the cost. Because if 2 people are sharing it, they could, they'd have to pass a hat or something, whatever, some mechanism. But if you're providing 1 to each individual when you could be providing 1 to 2, guess what? Simple lemonade stand business practice says, hey, I've chopped the price in half. And why haven't these companies seen this as an enormous opportunity? Really? All those folks that need a ride, need somebody they need to go by themselves. I don't think, many of them say, hey, I'm only going to go from where I am to where I want to go when I want to go if you take me by myself. Or maybe that's what the people in Silicon Valley expect because they are so entitled. If that's the case, that's not the opportunity for these things. The opportunity for these things are that, it could give shared rides, and they could give shared rides without having to pay for a driver. And if the California Utilities Commission says, oh no, you have to have an attendant on board, then the California Utilities Commission should pay for that attendant since they want it on board. If the person's not going to be doing anything except satisfying the desires of the California who knows what, then those folks who say, hey, you got to have it, you pay for it. You pick up the tab. You create the endowment, the annuity that pays for that. Then the entity can go out and provide the mobility and affordable mobility out there to folks who need the affordable mobility. Beautiful. Apparently, that's not what's going on in San Francisco. Because apparently, or San Francisco doesn't have any people, any sizable number of folks who needed an affordable ride. A high quality affordable ride. Maybe Mooney already provides everybody at all times in San Francisco an affordable, high quality mobility. If that's the case, then what the heck, why are Waymo and Cruise there? Oh yes, they've proven that the technology works on the curviest road in the world. Great. They've proven that the technology works in a crowded, hilly environment. Great. I mean, they shouldn't have even shown up if the technology didn't work. Proof of technology, great. Proof of market, when you have a safe streets group, a group that wraps around itself the emblem of safe streets, takes that high road and knowingly puts a cone on your hood while being filmed and recorded by not only cameras, radar, LiDAR, and who knows what other gizmos are on those vehicles, who absolutely documents the, misbehavior of these people, which I would imagine, some judge is going to say, yes, that's misbehavior. We in San Francisco don't really, recommend that people put junk on other people's stuff. And you did it, so therefore there's got to be some penalty for that, San Francisco, I suspect. And they've been recorded by cameras, radars, LiDARs, and who knows what else is.
Well, they're doing their own recording too and posting it online. So
oh my goodness, they're even getting, their 15 seconds of fame. They're being influencers out there on TikTok, Schmicktalk, and Twitter, and whatever. Great. Wonderful, San Franciscans. Good job.
Okay. Meanwhile, Alan, you highlight the California DMV report on, this is related to it, saying that as of June 27th, there have been 619 AV collision reports.
Yeah, but that's not my. They've been minor. They're not major. You know, unfortunately, Alain Herzberg was killed. But I think that's the only one of that level. All the claims about, Tesla's autopilot, whatever. And it's not even the technology that Uber and that Waymo and Cruise are using that's proven to work. That's worked. The proof of technology. They've done the proof of technology. Somehow, they haven't shown that the expectation, the way this thing, I think, has been promoted up to this point, was it's going to improve safety. I think the assumption that should have been that you've got to be safe. And in fact, the value add of this technology in terms of value add and safety, I'll claim, without going through the arithmetic, but I'd be happy to go through some of it. I'll claim that the value contribution to improve safety is, even if you took safety to zero, is minuscule compared to the improved mobility you can afford to the vast number of people that need a ride and could get a high quality ride affordably themselves to improve their lives. That's the value proposition here. And you look through the titles of everything that's going to be presented at the TRB AV conference, next week. It's still pushing safety. It's not pushing mobility. And it's certainly not pushing mobility to the folks that really need it.
I think one guy out there is going to be making that point.
Well, I don't know, maybe one guy, but that everybody knows that guy's a crazy and nobody paid whatever and so on and so forth. They have him caught on camera too, and they're going to make sure that he stops doing that. Anyway.
Well, it sounds like a good book too. And that,
yeah, well, we'll see what the book does. Maybe somebody will read it. Hopefully it'll become book on tape so people can listen to it.
Sounds good.
Anyway,
Alan, Elon Musk was among the speakers at the World Artificial Intelligence Conference in Shanghai this week. Again, yesterday said Tesla is very close to achieving full self-driving without human supervision, and he thinks they'll achieve that later this year. Mashable points out Musk admitted that he's been wrong about this prediction in the past.
Well, it depends what one's talking about. First of all this is about a gonna, something in the future. And luckily, none of us are able to predict the future, because if we could predict the future would be boring and we wouldn't want to live it anyway. And so therefore, that's not something anybody wants to create. Unfortunately, I tell my students, don't become too good in what we teach you. Because if you're really able to predict the market, there's not going to be a market. You're going to create a prediction of the market for which there won't exist one. Because if you can predict it, nobody will play it. Tesla stock's going to tank. If you can predict that, great. There's no stock to tank. Anyway, so he's predicting. The question is, what is it that anybody's talking about? I mean, they use these words like autonomous. Autonomous implies that it does it by itself. I mean, I, Fred, I think you're somewhat autonomous. You're not even fully autonomous because Lori tells you what the heck to
Exactly.
do, right? I know myself, man. I got constraints. I mean, I really do. I bump up against the edge of the cage all the time, but there, I'm not even autonomous. A vehicle is going to be autonomous. It's going to do it. I mean, even HAL in 2001 wasn't autonomous. What is that? Okay, so of course he's never going to achieve autonomous. The probability of him achieving that, as I put in the thing, is probability is 10 to the minus 128 or something. I mean, it's like it's as close to zero as you can get. Now, if instead it's going to be, and that's the same thing with level 5. I mean, how many years have we complained about level 5, SAE level 5? It has the word everywhere in it. You put the word everywhere in anything means that you're really putting the achievement probability of that to be, again, 10 to the minus 128, or whatever number you want to throw out there in the exponent that is so large that it's so close to zero. But then people, I didn't mean everywhere. I meant, okay, so where is that? Where it is? And, as I put in the newsletter, I mean, if one's talking about a Trenton move style deployment and operational design domain that is relatively small, 10 square miles or so, for which you're only using the roads that you can best operate on to provide a demand responsive, a truly demand responsive, 5-minute max wait for service, direct, somewhat shared, kiosk oriented thing. I think the probability if that's what he means, and if he was to start to work on doing that and focused on that, I think the probability of him achieving it, I put in there, I don't know, I put it at 0.25, about a quarter. He could do it. I mean, apparently they have built Dojo. And if he were to, take a Dojo computational engine and mess with his coefficients to just work in, as I said, Trenton style moves, operational design domain, I'm sure he could get his vehicles to not crash and operate in that. And provide mobility to a lot of folks. And if you charge those folks for mobility at, I don't know, 60 cents a passenger mile or something like that, which is close as, pretty darn close to zero, he could add to his wealth. Is he going to do that? Probably not. He wants to do it everywhere. 10 to the minus 128. What can I tell you?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll wait. I mean, we only have to wait 6 months and we'll know. That's the beauty about being able to travel in this time domain that we're traveling in. The past actually looks pretty good, although we get it garbled sometime. I mean, we can't even do the past well. We want to do the future perfectly. I mean, is anybody serious here? I mean, have they ever thought about what they're suggesting? Never mind.
Meanwhile, the rivals continue to make attempts. Volkswagen saying this week it will begin testing self-driving electric vehicles in Austin, Texas this month. There will be safety drivers on board. They'll be testing, they're saying, about 10 of the ID Buzz vehicles. Those are the new VW vans.
I think, yeah, I mean,
They're using
if,
Mobileye systems in this.
yeah,
And we remember that
that is
they were part of Argo AI.
Yeah, they were part of. I think this is fantastic. This is the best news we've heard in a very long time. Suppose the news coming out of San Francisco, you're running over hoses, and the police chief it doesn't like you, and whatever, and so on. I mean, this is great news. Again, I hope it's not Elon type news, because of course Volkswagen is here saying we're gonna. It's not that we're doing
well, it is this month, so
well,
it's not like
if Elon says I'm gonna, everybody says, oh, 10 to the minus 128 probability. If Volkswagen says I'm gonna, everybody says, oh, they did it. I mean, come on, okay. This is I'm gonna, and it is testing, which means they're doing proof of technology, really, maybe proof of market. All right, but certainly proof of technology, because they have attendants on board. If they had proved the technology, they wouldn't need the attendants. Okay, I think, unless
right.
They're
saying there will be attendance.
Yeah, no, of course there. And one should do proof of technology with attendance,
right?
Because you're not trying to scale the service so that in fact it has a lot of customers, that gives a lot of value for which you might be able to gain a substantial return. If you're out there looking to get a return, which is proof of market, then you have to be, this technology is going to have to work, and you're going to have to pull the attendant, because you can't afford the attendant. Because if we could afford the attendant, Uber would now be giving 100x rides per day than they're doing currently, if not 1,000x rides per day. And the reason they're not doing 1,000x or 100x or even 10x, and not even doing 1% of the rides of serving the people who need a ride, is because they run into the affordability hurdle, brick wall. If you do your supply demand curve, fundamental economics 0.001, at a price that you have to charge to be able to pay for a driver, there aren't so many folks out there who are going to pick that one. If you can take the driver costs out of there, if you just put the cost of what Uber would like to take out of this thing, and forget making Uber have to collect the money to then pass off to the driver. Geez, do you know how far down on the demand curve, how far to the right on the demand curve you can go? And why aren't they there? Because they're up against the brick wall of the driver cost. I don't know. I think. I'm sure they know. I mean, they're in business. I'm just, I live in a, glass bubble of an academic institution that knows nothing about business.
The bubble's looking like knotty pine today, but I get them.
Yeah, we got a little knotty pine here.
Zoox, Alan, Zoox, meanwhile, is expanding from California to Nevada, beginning in Las Vegas, and they're another serious player in this.
Yeah, and that's some other good news. that's some other good news, but let's see these things, these are consumables. These things are supposed to provide a service that people are going to use to improve their lives. I mean, I guess that's what people do when they pay for a service or they use a service. They're doing it to improve their lives. They're out there providing a mobility service. So let's just watch to see to whom they provide the mobility service and for whom, and who says, hey, yeah, I want to use that. I benefit from that. Here's a few shekels or something. Or here's a chit that I got from the government to do it. Or here's a barter. I don't know what the transaction is. Here's something in return for you delivering to me a valuable service to improve my life. See who shows up. Let's see who they offer it to. We know they have to be, even though they claim it's easy for them to be driverless because they have no steering wheel, no brake pedals. I'm sure they have a gamepad of one form or another. Okay, it's got to be. And they better have an attendant on board, because I don't know that they've yet gone and achieved the hurdle of the proof of technology that the technology works. And I hope there's somebody in there that can intervene, and if the wheels start coming off, and keep us from having certainly not an Alain Herzberg incident, even a small bump, or maybe even not running over a hose of a fire truck. I hope there's. I know they have to have somebody in there. They can't accept the risk. The risk is too high. Now the issue is in the provision of that mobility. Once they do get their technology so they don't need that individual in there anymore. Now, if Jeff Bezos decides to take his wealth and convert it into an annuity that provides a revenue stream to pick up the tab on those attendants, then they'll have the opportunity to provide a highly affordable, high quality mobility on a shared ride basis throughout Las Vegas. I think if they do that, all kinds of people are going to come out of the woodwork and say, I want my quality of life to benefit from that mobility that you're out there offering me. And here, I'm willing to pay you what it costs you to do that, plus a little bit more for a profit. As long as Jeff is out there providing the annuity for that person. It's one of these things. Is Jeff going to come through with that? Or are they going to be able to go and tell the Nevada state who knows what entity, saying, look, we're providing all this value to these folks. If you allow us to do it without forcing us to have somebody in there that's not doing anything. Because these folks can't afford to pay for that. And Jeff's decided not to show up with the annuity. Let's see if that happens. That will be really interesting.
As we said before, stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I think Zoox is starting with their own employees around their facilities, but expanding from there.
Yeah, they're providing rides to their own employees. That's great. I'm sure some of their employees need a ride. But the fact that he's a Zoox means they already have probably a reasonable job. And they probably can afford something more than the folks who maybe still looking for a job, or the folks that are, not of age, not of driving age yet. Does Zoox have any employees that are not of driving age?
Unlikely.
That's called child labor.
Alan,
They need a ride.
Yep.
Guess what? None of them, unless they're walking it, and we're assuming that, everybody who can walk it walks it.
Well, one of the differences in these Zoox vehicles here, these do not have a steering wheel or pedals, the ones that they have out there. So they are unique from that perspective.
Yeah, but that uniqueness is totally immaterial. I mean, the technology here, one really doesn't care how one can provide high quality, demand responsive, service origin, destination, shared ride, whatever, mobility affordably. That's what the service, that's the product that's being sold. That's the thing. Whether or not it has LiDARs, schmidars, cameras, computers, steering wheels, mirrors, who cares? As long as it can do it affordably and safely. All the other things are sort of technical details. Nobody's going to take this because it has LiDAR on it. I mean, that motivates 3 people for 4 rides or something. Nobody's going to take it because it's slightly safer than a bus, or even a lot safer. Buses are really safe. Problem with buses is they don't go from where you want to come from to where you want to go when you want to go. If they did, everybody would be taking them. Essentially nobody really passes up a bus ride that is as good as the ride that somebody can give themselves in their own car. No. If you have to use your own car and you have to pay a heavy parking price, and the bus is going to do exactly that and be there to bring you back home and give you all the flexibility and opportunity in the future in case something happens, you can do it, and all that stuff that you can get out of having your car, people would be taking the bus. Because what people want is mobility. Yeah, when you first get your Lambo, you love to drive it. Maybe, everybody who has Lambos drives them all. Although you look at the mileage on Lambos, it's, has any of them ever hit 100,000 miles? I don't know. Whenever you look at, used Ferraris, they tell you it has 12,228 miles. I bought a 500 SL, 3 years old with 1,936 miles on it after 3 years. People buy these things, don't drive them. They put them up on a mantle and tell their friends about it. Anyway, these folks have forgotten. They've got so enamored with the technology that they think people are buying this for the technology reasons, and they're not. I don't think so, but that's my view.
Well said, Alan. And you were kind enough to include in the newsletter a link to a recent Techstination radio report that I did. It's headlined, "Should Your Car Prevent Accidents, Period?" It goes something like this. Would you want to own a car that would simply stop most accidents from happening? What about having that kind of car for your children? And I kind of quote some of the things we've talked about and saying many vehicles today are equipped with enough technology, or could be equipped with enough technology, to simply not permit excessive speeding, tailgating, other forms of reckless driving, and could prevent the vast majority of collisions, along with the associated deaths, injuries, and costs. The question to ponder is that something we want as a society? The technology is ready and waiting. The many who have suffered injuries or lost loved ones would likely say yes. What about you? What about regulators and car makers? And it's something we've talked about.
We've talked about this from the beginning.
Right.
You know, when we first categorized and use our levels 0, 1, 2, 18, 22, who knows what levels, we had three things. We had safe, self, and driverless. And if you look at, you know, what we said about a safe driving car, was exactly what you describe here. It lets you do most of the things that you want to do except misbehave. And if you start misbehaving, it says, hey, Alan, cool it.
And you've pointed out, if
Okay.
safety regulators and the industry were really serious about this could be done very quickly.
They could do it. And I don't know if the problem is car manufacturers and dealerships are kind of stuck, because they're selling you a dream of misbehaving, going fast, being able to accelerate from 0 to 60 in 2.1 seconds, showing you on your speedometer speeds of 220 miles per hour. Where am I going to do that in Jersey? I mean, they're going to throw me in jail and throw away the key if I do that. Okay? But, you know, they're just kidding. They're selling you a dream. And they're saying that, hey, if you do it and you do it, it's you doing it. Don't come back to me. Don't blame me. I didn't tell you to do that. Even though, I mean, it's sitting out there. This is, you know, this camel selling cigarettes to children. Finally, we started, you know, this is the Marlboro man. Finally, we decided, hey, you know, really, as a society, we really can't have a Marlboro man out there. Great. We put these warnings all over them. We should put the warnings all over cars. You know, and Elon, he stands behind. I told everybody keep their hands on there. And in fact, if you take your hands off, we give you warning. What are we supposed to do? Really, you know, pull over, make you sit on a chair, put on your dunce cap, and not use it until you have a note from your mother? But you know, that's how they've sold this stuff to us. But in fact, you know, I hope that now we talked a long time about, you know, the real opportunity, and what insurance companies should also do is they should hold every mother's hand as she goes in to buy a car into the dealership for their, you know, 16 to 25-year-old, and say to that mother, look, you got to buy this one over here that has all the stuff on there that's going to keep your child from misbehaving. Buy that one. And then I won't have to charge you insurance rates that are, you know, out of whatever, because the technology will make sure that that doesn't happen. The only reason your insurance rates go through the sky is because you go out and buy something that, you know, wants to have the kid go down who knows what, out who knows where,
right,
doing who knows what.
Yeah, I posted another interview within the last couple of weeks with a woman named Julie Garner. She started something called Project Yellow Light, and she's got backing now from NHTSA and the Ad Council. She lost her 16-year-old son some years ago to a crash that could have been avoided, and she's founded this organization now that has gives scholarships to young people to create public service messages to prevent distracted driving, and they do an annual scholarship now. She's trying to have an impact here, but just talking to her and what she went through, and the technology could certainly help more than it is.
Look, you can put it in there. You can make it. You can put a breathalyzer in there. It doesn't let the engine start. Okay, they're putting cameras. They have cameras in there that if you're down there, if you're texting, the car pulls over and stops. Okay. And they can make it so you can't cut it. Tesla has, knows what's going on all the time in their vehicles. You start doing something, they know. They could do it. There's just, we can do the public messages and so on and so forth. These things have been done for how long? I guess we did accomplish at least people somewhat using seatbelts, which of course, that's another one of my forecasts that was wrong. I claimed they would never be able to accomplish. I'm never wearing a seatbelt. What the hell? They told me to wear a seatbelt. Now, man, I'm in there. I'm putting a seatbelt on I'm in the back seat. I'm in the third row. I'm putting seatbelts on. I'm in a car without a seatbelt. Whoa, there's no seatbelt. I'm getting out. So I applaud you for at least, you're able to do it with seatbelts. You should be able to do it with the rest. Why are we allowing people to go so fast on roadways? The car knows where it is. It knows what the speed limit is. It doesn't have to, it can, talk about a simple automated system to put in there. You could be just, you could put a lead weight on that gas pedal and it's just not going to go. Anyway.
Well, Peggy is here, so it's time to wrap things up.
I guess I have to feed Peggy.
You can find us at smartdrivingcar.com, also on Spotify, TuneIn, Apple, Google, Amazon, Spreaker, wherever you turn to for podcasts. You can find my tech reports that we've talked about at Techstination.com. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with Alain Kornhauser. Thank you for listening or watching. Please continue to stay safe.
And I hope to see you in San Francisco Tuesday evening or Wednesday afternoon, and or both. Come to both. And other times I'll be hanging around. I'll certainly be in the plenary sessions. So hope to see you in San Francisco at the TRB AV conference.